our mortals. Okay, now it's the third episode of my podcast, TANAT. Finally, I didn't do episodes for such a long time. What will I talk about today is the thing that I thought about for such a long time. First of all, I would like to start from one thing that obviously every person at some point in their life asked, what's the meaning of life? Why are we here? What's the meaning of everything in life? And some people, they have more nihilistic view about that. They usually have very cynical, very absurdist kind of worldview. They start searching into some philosophy. They look into ancient Greek or Roman philosophy or more modern philosophy like Nietzsche, Schopenhauer, Emile Cioran, etc. And I thought about such things for a long time. I remember when I was a teenager, for a long time I also had that kind of nihilistic point of view, like, everything is meaningless. Like, there is no meaning in life. You just live, then you just die, and that's it. But the thing is that I tried to talk about things that were beyond my comprehension with such confidence, as if I knew for sure what's gonna be. So I thought, okay, everything is meaningless. What's the point anyway? As I mentioned in my previous video about one of my closed side projects, that the thoughts about my mortality and about the meaning of life and how I thought that all of that was meaningless. Obviously, all of that I started projecting in my music. And not only in my music, also when I was drawing, and I did some other things like short films. That's how it felt most of the time for me back then. But later I started just learning about more things, started expanding my worldview, and I started thinking, no, maybe there is some kind of meaning, I just didn't find it yet. I think that recently, at least for myself, I found the meaning of life. First of all, I think that people should not worry that much about one meaning of life. Like, as if there is one objective meaning for every single living and non-living object in this world. Like, what's the objective meaning? But I think people should not worry about that much. Even if there is no one objective meaning of life for everyone, I think people should not worry because you already live here. You need to keep going. But the thing is that, at least personally for myself, I realized the whole point of life. And maybe while listening to this podcast, maybe some people will just will feel a bit more motivated while listening to it. I think that the meaning of life, at least for me, is art. I think art is the meaning of life for humans. Seriously, maybe not exactly for animals, not exactly for plants, for molecules, etc. But I think for humans definitely. Art, I think it's the most important thing in the universe. I think without art, life I don't know how about other people, but at least for me, when I don't do any kind of art for a long time, or even when I'm creating least amount of art in a few months, for me, everything, like the whole life, feels so gray, drab. It feels depressive and just slow and dead, boring. That's how I feel. Life really feels kind of gray when I don't do any music, when I don't draw, when I'm not working on any of my films or videos for my YouTube channel, when I just simply don't commit to art, or when I do a little bit of art. That's how I feel in my life. And I think such kind of thing is absolutely natural, not just for me as an artist, but also for many other people. Because the thing is that we, just as humans, they became humans because of art. If you really think about it, it's not a difficult thing to comprehend. It's not some kind of a dark secret behind 7 Masonic locks. No, this is pretty obvious thing, because if you think about it, art and the ability to create, ability to make something that did not exist in nature before us, just the ability to invent, it's literally the thing that made us humans. Because, for example, there was monkey, right, in the beginning, and she found a stick, okay? And later she took stick in its hand and realized that the monkey can actually use that stick for something in some interesting ways. It can use it for digging, it can be used as a hammer, it can be used as a weapon to hunt or to kill, just something like that. So when monkey realized it, and that stick became the first invention in history. Later, monkeys started discovering like sharp stones, and then they later united the digging stick and the sharp stone together, and they've got axe. That's how it all began. And then also when humans started realizing their potential a little more, started taking steps further, they started drawing. In the beginning, those cave drawings, they were very primitive. They were just paintings on the walls of mountains and caves about how they live, how early people were hunting, how they did their everyday stuff, how they lived in tribes. That's how it was. That's how humans started realizing their potential. When I say that without art, life is meaningless, I'm not far from the truth. I think maybe at least some amount of people will understand what I'm trying to speak about. Not so long ago, I became pretty much interested in business. Just started learning something more about it, and I started getting really interested about things like how to run business, how to start business. And the thing is that I listened to one course where one man who is very competent in business, who is very smart as a businessman, but he gave me one advice, not to me, but when I watched the video, he told one thing, that people need to abandon things that they like, that they enjoy. They must sacrifice those things, they must stop following their passion, and they need to follow the money. I understand that kind of advice. I don't try to debunk it in any way, but this advice will definitely not work with me. I doubt that it will ever work with me. And the thing is that I don't think that it will work with me, because I refuse to live in the world where I will never create any kind of art at all. For me, I would even say more. Business is the same kind of art for me. That's how previously I really was lazy about starting my own business. I didn't learn anything about business, and because I always thought about it as some kind of monotonous job. But the thing is that when I realized that business is also art, when I started perceiving it as some kind of art, I became more and more into it. I became more interested. Because in business, you need to be very creative, actually. You need to be original, you need to be creative, to be able to compete on the market, to attract the newer audience. It's same kind of art, and if I take a look at it through the art point of view, I will be more passionate and more interested about business. Just like on any other kinds of art projects that I've done before. If I see business as the similar art as music, movies, photography, drawing, painting, etc. So I think this is one more thing that made me realize that really art is really the most important thing in life, because basically art, it's not something that made humans, but it's also, I think it's the main thing what makes humans different from all other species on the planet Earth. Because, well, how many great music composers do you know amongst cockroaches? How many great painters do you know amongst chimpanzees? How many great architects do you see amongst hyenas or lions or, I don't know, grasshoppers? Whatever. No, you don't know any. We as humans were the only species who are capable of creating something that did not exist before in nature, like never. And this is what I like about it. I really find huge amount of fulfillment in making art, just leaving a legacy, creating something that did not exist before me. I enjoy not just watching someone else's art, but that I enjoy as well, but I also find great amount of fulfillment just from creating art. From creating art when I have an idea, and that idea is really alive, that idea has huge amount of potential, and I really like just delivering that idea, showing that idea through music, through movies, through photography, etc. Even, I don't know, even in business that I became really into recently, even there, I try to put lots of creativity, and I really enjoy putting my creative ideas and seeing how they work in business. Even there. One more thing that art helped me with is that it showed me another perspective of life. Seriously. Because I guess it's not just with me, I think all other artists will notice is that when you are an artist, you always can find inspiration everywhere. And the thing is that everyday life, when you go on the streets, or even when you just stay at home in your apartment, you can find such a great potential for art from everyday life. People just go to their jobs, they sit somewhere in metro or in the bus. Usually people, they sit in the metro every day, and there might be such things around them that they don't notice. Things that people usually don't notice. But for example, what about me? I really find a lot of fulfillment and joy when I really notice some little things, some really unique things that happens once in the eternity. And I just write them down in the notebook or in my phone, or when I just take a picture of them, just to preserve them and to take inspiration from them, or making video of those things. Those simple things that people usually don't notice. I just see, as an artist, I see an interesting scene, like in theater or in movie, like it looks cinematic to me. It looks very stylish, very atmospheric, very aesthetical, cinematic. I take picture of it, or I write it down in my notebook, or something like that, just to preserve it, to preserve this moment that I noticed. Like no one else noticed it, everyone else is passing by, but I noticed it. And such moment happens once in a while. And I wrote it down, or I recorded it. And this is what I really enjoy, and it gives me a lot of inspiration. And I find life much more fun like that, when I do such things. So art not just brings meaning to my life, and obviously to lives of many other people who can agree with me on what I'm saying in this podcast, but it gives me the new perspective on life. It makes me notice things that I did not notice before. I hear birds singing on the street. Yeah, they sit somewhere on the trees. They sing like pee 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 pee, or like ka ka ka, and I just record it on my phone. I either take a video or I record audio, and I can use it in music. I can use it for videos or for films, whatever. It gives me a lot of inspiration. This is one more point why I think that art is important. Maybe I think it's the most important thing in the universe. Seriously. Some people might say like, oh, but how about your parents? How about your significant other? How about your children, etc.? Indeed, all of that is important, very important. But the thing is that when you are not occupied with anything meaningful in your life, when you just live empty existence, and for me, when I don't do art for a long time, again, for me, life seems slow, gray, boring. I feel non-existent. I have no desire to talk to people. Just to let you know, I'm deeply, deeply introverted person. And art, actually, it's one of the things that helps me to communicate with people. Sometimes when I have conversations with people and they find out that I have some artistic abilities or ambitions, they're always interested, and sometimes they're even happy to help me with my art. And so art helps me to communicate with people more. It makes me more communicative. Without art, it's much harder for me to communicate with people and talking to them. And when when I'm being depressive, when I don't create for a long time, people see it. My mother sees it. When I talk to my mother, she sees that my voice is not fun. Like, there is not much enthusiasm in my voice. Like, I don't even sound fun when I talk. Just something like that. So stuff like all of the things like family, friends, communicating with some good people in your life. Also, it's very important. But the thing is that for instance, when I'm not making art for a long time, or when I'm doing least amount of art in a really long period of my life, it's harder for me to communicate with this world, harder for me to communicate with other people, harder to find friends. It's harder for me to even somehow communicate with my relatives from my family, because they see that even when I talk, they don't hear much enthusiasm in my voice, and they see that things not alright. This is the thing. So if someone while listening to this podcast thought like, how about family, how about your mom, your dad, etc., this is what I think about. This is just what I wanted to tell in this podcast. This is the thought that I've had for such a long time. There is one thing that I also would like to say, is that I came to this conclusion that art, at least for me, is the most meaningful thing in the universe, like the most important thing in the universe, at least the most important thing to do, okay? It just if someone asks, how about your family, how about your friends, okay, at least it's the most important thing to do in the universe. Happy? To this conclusion I came after many years, seriously, because sometimes I've had art blocks, sometimes there were moments when I was really depressed and I was not really creative, I was not really inventive, I was very apathetic. There were such kind of periods in my life. And in such kind of periods I thought, like, what's the point of all of that? I thought, why am I doing art? I'm not earning any money from it. Like, it doesn't bring me fame. Obviously I like it. I do it because I like it. But like, what's the point of that? Why that? Why am I doing that? I'm doing it for like 10 years, since 2012. Since in 2012 I decided to become an artist. So what's the point? What's the point of all of that? And eventually And I've had art blocks, I felt really depressed. I thought, why am I doing that? Like 10 years later, I just started thinking, why am I doing that? And I've had serious art blocks because of that. There were periods when I made music and the music was good. I was happy about making that, not regret about making it at all. I was happy about it. But the problem was that right after completing it, I felt like, yeah, it's nice, it's very nice. Okay, now I will move on. I will continue working. I worked and now moving on. Now I will continue working. That's how I felt. I just, not because the music was bad, not because I did not feel like I needed it. No, I liked the music, I like what I made, but I did not understand, like, in general, why am I an artist? And eventually, I realized why, because it brings meaning to my life, and I cannot live without art. Art is something that really makes my life meaningful and fulfilling. I simply cannot exist, at least I cannot exist properly in this world without art. I really feel non-existent when I don't make art for a long time. Well, obviously, as a human, I exist. As a person, I exist. I'm like sitting here right now, recording this podcast. Like I still have body. I'm still in my mind. Obviously, I realized things like that. But when I don't make art for a long time, I feel non-existent. I don't know how to explain it. This is the only way how I can describe that feeling. As if I'm being isolated from this world, like I'm being away from this world. I feel like I'm being emotionally detached from this world when I'm not making art for a long time. Like I cannot properly function in this world without art. If I would quit it completely, that's how I would feel. And I like art. Obviously, I like it a lot. I enjoy making it. I enjoy the process. I enjoy the results that I get. For instance, not so long ago, 2 months ago, I created my 4th album from my main music, which is called If the Dolls Are Quiet Doesn't Mean They Can't See You. Amazing album. It's when I realized I'm an artist, because art brings meaning to my life and makes it more fulfilling. Then when I started working on that album, then right after that, I enjoyed creating that album through and through, from the beginning to the end, while working on each and every single song from that album. I enjoyed the process so much. And when I completed the album, every time when I completed every single song, I felt so happy. And I felt so happy when I completed the whole album. I felt such a huge amount of joy. And when I listened to that album, I enjoyed it so fucking much. It was so amazing. It felt so great. And I felt really, really happy for the result. Because I understood why. I finally realized why I'm doing it. So this is just what I wanted to say. Maybe it helped someone. Maybe some artists who feel lost, who feel confused, who have similar kind of dilemma in their head, like, why am I artist? Why am I doing that? Maybe it will make you feel easier. Maybe it will give you an answer. Maybe you already been on that path and you realized it even earlier than I did. Because I realized it like a few months ago, really. And now I just feel great. I feel really happy in life. Seriously. And I'm an artist. I feel great from it. I feel awesome. Yeah, this is just what I wanted to tell. Just I feel much happier. And my art block is no more. I feel really creative. I feel really happy from it. If you enjoyed this podcast and if you enjoy my blogs in general, please press like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel to help it grow. It really helps a lot. If you really like this podcast, don't ignore it. If you really like it, please press like, leave a comment, maybe tell about your experience, what you think about the subject of this podcast. If you have anything to say, I'm reading the comments, or you can write it to tell your thoughts in the comments. Also, other people who will listen to this podcast, they also will read your comment. Just also, if you want to support my YouTube channel, you can also buy my music on Bandcamp. All links will be in the description. Don't forget to press the bell button to don't miss any new videos. Farewell. Stay out of hell.